If the war in Ukraine has taught us one thing, it's that we are entering into a new age of international relations. To many observers, the largest land invasion in Europe since World War II has broken international convention, showing a growing disregard for the globalization of the past 30 years. The old world order, predicated on cooperation through economic means, has ended, as Russia signaled to the world that it's willing to endure the harshest possible sanctions in order to satisfy its geopolitical and political goals. The end of globalized economic interdependence will be succeeded by the militarization and the increasingly bellicose nature of nations and economy, politics, and the nature of the global balance of power. In terms of economics, economic independence and isolation are becoming staples of an increasingly polarized global landscape. Throughout the world, movements ranging from Brexit to Buy American have demonstrated protectionist policies for some of the world's leading free market powers and show that for many populations, economic cooperation has taken the backseat behind economic self-interest. Most alarmingly, Xi Jinping, head of the Chinese government, has reiterated his ideas that China should dominate its own market and issued his own proclamations of protectionism for both China as well as East Asia in general. More and more, the invasions of Ukraine's impacts are starting to feel and feed into national movements across the world, and the self-sufficiency of the new age has been kickstarted by the war. Now, with a new emphasis on security and interdependence, inflation may become a major part of our new global landscape. Data shows that countries around the world are being increasingly trapped by rising inflation numbers, and as countries dig in, inflation will remain a core component of our new economy. Finally, attempts at globalization, which have gone on for the last 30 years, will no longer have the same power they once had. For example, many of the international businesses who expanded to Russia after the fall of the USSR in 1991 have left, and will most not likely not undertake business with the nation for the foreseeable future. With this loss of business, it shows that other countries may find the reversal of globalization in their economies as well, reversing over 30 years of precedent. The invasion of Ukraine will add 3 new features of the global economy: protectionism, inflation, and a reversal of globalization. These features will mark an era of independence, self-sufficiency, and mutual distrust amongst the nations and economies of the world. Shifting focus, the new political reality is that simply, we now live in a post-American era. The era of Pax Americana, or unchallenged American dominance, is over. This can first be seen in Russia's complete refusal of American demands and diplomacy. Throughout the entire peace process, Russia effectively avoided any U.S. attempts at mediation and made its position clear that NATO interference in the region was a complete non-starter. Now in the past, this type of tension might have led to a de-escalation, as fear of massive retaliation might have scared people off. But now, this invasion has set a new precedent in foreign affairs. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has shattered the mutually assured destruction doctrine and proved to the world that the U.S. world order can be broken with little impunity, in stark contrast to the past. Along with the economic independence spoken about previously, countries will now enter into an age of distrust and military buildup. Countries who have traditionally shied away from the buildup of their neighbors, such as Canada, Japan, and most notably, Germany, have started to reawaken their war machines. Countries across the world who seldomly thought about their nation's security have now been galvanized to protect themselves. This isn't a good thing. The longest peace we've enjoyed for the past 80 years has been based on collective security through alliances. Most countries haven't felt the need to overly invest in their military infrastructure as larger superpowers have provided their protection. This reality continues to change as now countries feel that they don't have the protection they once enjoyed. However, this is not meant to say that the United States will not remain a global superpower. The United States still wields considerable influence across the world, and it still firmly remains in command of the Western world. However, the world we now enter is distinctly post-Americans, and the actions that countries take now will not be taken with America first in its mind. While the world, for better or worse, will look fundamentally different after the war in Ukraine, there still remains hope to retain at least a semblance of the old world. Victory in Ukraine will mean the triumph of liberal democracy over autocracy and the dominance of NATO in the West over insurgent forces in the East. The United States and our allies must do anything to win, for the sake of the world, as well as the future. Thank you.